Hello folks, welcome back to the Edupedia world, and I am Abhinay Gupta. So today we'll start with a very interesting topic, which is the winding up, and this will be covered by part 7 of the Companies Act 1956. So far, for your CA Final May 2016 examination, we will cover the provisions of this chapter from the old Companies Act. Right? So the provisions of the new Companies Act 2013 is not yet applicable for your examinations, right? So it hardly matters, by the way, the basic concept behind winding up will remain the same. So even if it gets updated for your further syllabuses, you will not have major changes, right? All you have to do is remember the new sections, and there are a little bit of amendment that you will have to take care of, right? So we'll start with the winding up that is covered in the previous act, in the old act, right? So when we start with winding up, do you actually know what winding up means? Some of you may know it, some of you may not know it, and most of you must be confused, right? Some of you may know what is dissolution, some of you may not know what is dissolution, and some of you again may be confused, and most of you may be confused between the two words, dissolution and winding up, right? So basically what we will start with is the meanings, right? So we'll understand the meaning of the word winding up. What does winding up basically mean? So in a layman's term, what do you mean by winding up? If I just say, students please wind up and the class is over, what do you understand? What do you do after that? You shut your books, you shut your laptop or your desktop, and then you move ahead, right? That means whatever you were doing, you close it, you put a break to that, you stop it, right? And then you close your books, shut down your PCs or your laptops, and then you are out of this education. That means you are out of this lecture. You will stop this lecture, you will take it up sometimes else, but now you will stop studying, right? So it is a similar definition or the similar meaning of winding up in the case of companies as well. So when the companies are asked to wind up, they again start packing up. That means even they start closing their books and their laptops to bring the process to an end, right? So this is winding up. Winding up is basically this process, right? But it is a process of bringing to an end not your task, but to the life of the company. So the entire journey, the entire process is known as winding up, and when you reach the destination, when you actually at the end shut the company, that is dissolution, right? We'll come down to dissolution as well. So first we'll understand winding up, and winding up is very similar to liquidation as well. So the two terms winding up and liquidation are used interchangeably, right? So both the winding up and liquidation, it is the process, it is the journey, it is not the destination. The company wants to be closed, the company wants to be dissolved. So for the dissolution, the process that leads to dissolution is winding up, right? So although the assets and liabilities of the companies comes to an end, the assets are sold, the liabilities are paid off, but the corporate status and the power of the company continues even after winding up. That is what you need to understand. Right? It has not yet been dissolved. It is a corporate legal entity created by law, and it will be dissolved and destroyed by law itself, right? So winding up is the process that leads to a comfortable dissolution, right? So what basically happens in this process is that the management of the company is taken over by the liquidator, right? It is taken away from the board of directors and it comes to the liquidator, and now the liquidator has the right to realize all the assets of the companies and to pay out the liabilities. So what happens is that the liquidator sells off all the assets of the companies, it realizes the asset, and the amount that it gains from that realization is then used to pay off its debt, right, and other liabilities of the company. And if after that also there is any surplus remaining with the liquidator, then that will be returned to the members. And so at the end of the entire process of winding up, the company will have no assets and no liabilities. It will just have its legal structure, its corporate status, and the power to continue, right? And then it will also be very simple to dissolve the company. On one strike it will be dissolved. There is no other complications involved in dissolution. So that is winding up, right? And when we talk about dissolution, it is actually bringing an end to the legal personality of the company. So you have read it in your IPCC and your CA final as well, that company is a legal entity, right? It is created by law, and hence it can only be destroyed by law, right? But now when we talk about the end of the company, the dissolution of company, that is done by law. So what are the various processes by which this dissolution can be achieved, right? So basically, when we say that the company gets dissolved, try and understand we do not only mean that the company was functioning and then one fine day we sell off all the assets and liabilities in the process of winding up, and then the company that is remaining, we close that company and it's gone, and then there is no existence of any company, any of its asset, any liability, any member, any activity, nothing. But that is not always the case, right? When we talk about dissolution, there can be a dissolution whereby the company A, which is being dissolved, is actually absorbed by company B. So all the assets, all the liabilities, they are actually sold to company B and paid off by that realization. So basically it goes nowhere. The entire company gets absorbed into B and the legal name of A is dissolved. That is the only thing happening over there, right? You are understanding what I mean to say? So a dissolution can be taken ahead via a scheme of reconstruction or amalgamation, right? But that has to be performed via a scheme, and that scheme will be approved by the court only, right? And there can also be a situation where the court says that the company will be dissolved without winding up, and this is that situation, that A Limited is dissolved but it has not been wounded up. There was no liquidator appointed to realize the asset in the market and then pay off the debts and the contributories and everybody. What happens is the entire company A gets absorbed by company B and the legal entity, the name, is struck off. That is the end, right? The other is, for example, if there is a company that has stopped functioning for past few years, it is not functioning, so it has fallen under the category of defunct company, right? And you know that the company do not become defunct on the very first day. If it is not performing well, the registrar will send them a letter. If they do not respond, they will send them an application, a notice. If again they do not respond, then what registrar does is to strike off the name from the register. So it is a process, right? How a defunct company's name is struck off, it is an entire process. You will study it in detail in your chapters, right? But what you need to know over here is that this is another form of dissolution, whereby the registrar, after following those prescribed procedures, right, will strike off the name of the defunct company from the register, right? And the last process is the process of winding up. So either you wind up, or you dissolve without winding up, or you just strike off the name as a defunct company. Now there is one third concept that is also used in parallel to these terms, winding up and dissolution, that is insolvency. Now there is a major difference between insolvency and winding up that you need to understand, right? So when we talk about insolvency, what is insolvency? So insolvency basically is a similar process like winding up, whereby instead of a liquidator, an assignee or a receiver comes, right? What they do is they take away all the assets of the company, of the person, right? Because, and this is specifically a category where we deal with a person, where we deal with an individual specifically. We're not dealing with a company. It is not a corporate winding up. An individual, when he is not able to pay off his debt, that is the position when we call him to be insolvent. He is not in a position to pay off his debt. So the court sends an assignee or a receiver, and they take over the asset of that person, right? And then whatever they do with the asset, they want to pay off the liabilities, whatever procedure they want to do, right? Now the assets are vesting with that receiver or the assignee. Now the person will have no right on that asset, right? And when the entire process of insolvency of the assigner's job is done, the person who was declared insolvent, right? So as he is declared insolvent, what happens is he is discharged from all his debt and becomes a legal person again. His assets are taken over by the assignee and he is discharged of all his debts. Now the debts will be taken care by the receiver and the assignee, right? So this is basically what insolvency means. And one important thing that you need to understand, that it is specifically in the case of an individual. So it is very much similar to winding up, but insolvency is in the case of individual and winding up is in the case of the corporate entity, right? So what is the difference now? Where we saw in insolvency, first difference is it is on individual and this is on the corporate entity. Second, that over there we have seen that all the assets vest with the assignee or the receiver, but in case of winding up, the asset do not vest with the liquidator. The asset still vests with the company, but the liquidator gains the right of administration with that asset, right? And one other thing that we have seen, that a person is declared insolvent if he is unable to pay his debt or liability, right? Even the similar is the case with company, but that is not a compulsion. A company may be wound up even if it is financially sound. That will be the case of voluntary wind up by the company, right, by passing special resolution by the members, right? And the last difference that we need to notice is that in that case we have seen that the insolvent person is discharged of all his debt and he becomes a legal person. But however, after the winding up proceedings are over, the company gets dissolved, right? So that is basically the meaning of winding up, dissolution and insolvency. I hope the differences and the meanings are clear with you. Now you are able to distinguish between what is winding up and what is dissolution and what is insolvency, right? Now all the other thing that we need to know over here is the type of winding up. We will not discuss a lot about dissolution and insolvency because that is not the theme of the chapter. The chapter revolves around the concept of winding up. So there are basically three types of winding up. Number one is compulsory winding up. When the company is not performing well, it is not able to pay off its debt or something, or the creditors approached the court with a case that this company is not able to pay off our debts, we want its winding up. Then the court may declare an order, may pass out an order for winding up of the company, and the court itself will appoint an official liquidator too, right, to initiate and complete the process of winding up. That is compulsory winding up. Next you have a voluntary winding up. Now voluntary winding up means a winding up that is self-volunteered. This is the case where even a financially sound company is wound up, right? And this voluntary winding up can basically be taken forward by two categories of people. One is the members of the company, they can get into members voluntary winding up, and the other is the creditors of the company. Even creditors can get into voluntary winding up, that is creditors voluntary winding up, and you have two different processes for the entire thing, right? And the last one is the winding up under the supervision of the court, right? So these are the three types of winding up. So I hope you have gotten insight into what winding up is. We'll start with the process. We'll start with the three types of processes of winding up, the grounds on which they are compulsory wound up and stuff in the next lecture. So until then, please stay tuned. This is Abhinay Gupta signing off. Thank you. Bye bye.